Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Envoy of Kairos returning to you for another Control Speed Paint. And this time I'm giving you guys your third Unleashed in this series. And a character that I am very proud of. Although I'll admit I could have done better with the design here, looking at it in the aftermath, but I'm just not used to drawing reptilian heads, so this is what I've got. I couldn't have done better and gotten this out on time. Maybe I'll do an updated version in a few months. But anyway, this is, of course, the same Mason that I introduced to you guys a few months ago with his dormant humanoid form. Well, more humanoid, you know what I mean. So, as you can probably tell early on with the base colors, he is just as albino in his Unleashed form as he is in his dormant form. Though, a little less so once I get some of the details in later on. So, he's a very interesting kind of Unleashed. There are debates among those who study the powers of the Unleashed within my franchise that they can't quite determine what the origin of these powers are or what determines those powers to begin with. Some say it's genetic, some argue that it's psychological, some say that it's completely random. When it comes to the psychological standpoint, one can't help but wonder what's going on with Mason's abilities, as his power is essentially that when he is responsible for the death of another person, he copies their powers and seals them in the form of a weapon. So, both of the ones you see him wielding here, Alto, his vibrating and electrified scimitar, and Levant, his ionic charge-inducing crossbow, were both created from the powers of foes he'd slain. Now, he can kill someone and not get their powers, if he really focuses on it. Although, over time, it does become more natural for him to filter out the powers he doesn't want, and eventually it becomes more of focusing on the ones he actually wants to take. He does avoid killing as much as he can, but occasionally he does come across foes that are simply too dangerous to leave alive, or too difficult to defeat without ensuring their death. Sometimes there's simply no other option, and as a former soldier, he's taken that concept to heart. And of course, with the various personality issues he has that I stated in his previous video for his dormant form, he adapts to that quite well. Whatever is necessary to do, he can find a way to steel himself to do it, even if that requires making an entirely new personality to do so. But with so much of a focus on logic, you can be certain that he won't end up creating any troublesome personalities that will end up becoming a problem later. No, he's far more controlled than that. In fact, much like the title of my franchise, control is largely what Mason is about. He excels in having excessive control over himself, his personality, his thoughts, his actions, his movements. In combat, he is incredibly fluid and precise. He knows he can always improve more, and he is constantly striving to do so, studying new forms of combat and new psychological techniques to employ during it. Of course, this becomes especially prevalent when it comes to the variety of powers he has at his disposal with the arsenal that he collects. For one, with each new weapon he gets a new power set that he goes out of his way to study extensively. and understand all of the pseudoscience and general physics that goes behind them. For example, when it comes to Levant with its powers of ionic charge induction, well, you might wonder what the hell that actually means, and for those of you who aren't excessively good at physics, you've probably got no clue, and I'm in the same boat. Until I actively looked up the terms for it, I didn't get it either. So in this case, say he were to use Levant in its shape of a crossbow to fire an energy bolt at you that induces a positive ionic charge. And then he would shoot the wall behind you with a negative ionic charge. You are now magnetized to that wall. And he has found many, many ways to completely abuse this as his greatest tactical tool. It can be very difficult to fight back when you're either stuck to an object you can't get the leverage to escape or pull with you, or if, say, you're a weapon wielder yourself and you are now repelled from your own weapon. And that's just the bare minimum of the things he's figured out how to do with Levant. Alto is a bit more straightforward, with electrification and high-frequency vibration. It's fairly simple to wield, but that does make the unorthodox shape of the blade much more effective. Normally, having a hook at the top and bottom of the front edge of the blade would be blatantly stupid. Ask anyone who designs or wields actual weapons and they'll tell you that's literally a Mall Ninja Chuni weapon. And yeah, normally it would be. In Mason's case, on the other hand, with the electrified properties and the high-frequency vibration, those hooks become much more effective, arcing lightning between the 2 points on the front, while providing a vibration that causes the hooked end dug into his opponent to cause severe internal damage, not to mention tearing through more easily after getting caught, and the serrated back edge, as jagged as it is, although not being a uniform serration, it is highly effective when wielding that vibration. So if he were to strike with the back end of the blade while using high enough frequency vibration, you can expect that he'll cleave through practically anything, given enough time and energy. Although being a longer one-handed blade, it takes a good deal of finesse for him to properly wield, and he's done excessive training to make sure he can use it to its fullest. It's hard for him to find another blade wielder to spar with to make sure that his skills are up to snuff, but most Unleashed don't exactly use weapons, let alone a sword. It's not exactly a common thing, so he doesn't really have to worry about dueling with other blade wielders, for a good deal of time at least, until he gets to the UK arc of the second book. That's gonna be fun. But then, moving on, you may wonder what the rest of his arsenal might be, and I did kinda hint at it with the energy effects in the design for the final version of his Dormant Forms picture. Well, I won't go over them now. I'll leave it to you guys to see what else he has if you decide to pick up the book when I release it. Eventually you'll see a bit more on here though. Give it some time. For now, I hope you guys like what I've done with Mason. He's one of my favorite characters I've created for this series. And yeah, he might seem like main character material, and in many ways he is, but with a lot of the mysteries behind his powers, and the outside perspective required to really get a grasp on them, you kind of need a main character that can watch his journey from the outside. Otherwise, you can't really appreciate everything that Mason will eventually do. What you see now is just the tip of the iceberg with him. And it goes far, far deeper than you can imagine. Hey, thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, then be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're looking to support me a little further, maybe get some bonus content or just keep up with me and other fans, you can find links down in the description leading to my Patreon, my Discord, and my Twitter. And if you're following me on Patreon, then you can expect some content polls to decide what's coming up on the channel yet. A little bit of background additions to some other series I've been working on, some more original and creative stuff. And who knows, if enough of you start supporting me soon, I might have a few other surprises up my sleeve too. Again, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you all again on the next video.